Hey everybody, my name is Lon Stroshine, former public company executive turned best-selling author, coach to elite performers, and self-declared lifestyle engineer. In 2022, I made a decision that changed everything for me. I left my job as a public company executive, and I left without a backup plan, without a resume, and without a Rolodex of clients. I left with a belief that the best days of my life were right in front of me, and that they weren't going to be lived where I was standing. Since that day, my mission has become to be a champion for the best decade of your life. This podcast is here to give you the tools, the stories, and the perspective you're going to need to finally make a bet on you. We're going to talk about the hard stuff here. The conversations here will be raw and real. There are no post-edits, no do-overs, and no limits. You'll hear stories from people just like you who've made the trade, and from those who are right there in the trenches, right where you are, still trying to figure out. If you're here, you're ready to be up to something. And if you're here, you're one decision away from a radically different life. Welcome to the Normal 40. I'm going to see all of you on the podcast. All right. Well, dude, we're doing it here. Let's cut a podcast.
Yeah, let's do it.
Look, I just got to ask you, how the heck did we get here? Why, what's going on here? How did we get together? I honestly don't even know.
That's an awesome question. So I stumbled across you on LinkedIn, and I probably in the last 4 months have really put some effort and intentionality in LinkedIn and connecting with people and building relationships. And you were actually somebody that I did not have such a level of intentionality around, but actually kind of stumbled across in my feed. Like somebody either posted or commented or something, but all of a sudden I see this guy and I'm like, Normal 40, what's Normal 40? And so I kind of dug through your stuff, man, checked out what you were doing. And again, anytime I hear like a conversational podcast where two people are going to kind of riff and randomly go places, but it's obviously definitely meant to serve and help people, I'm like, I'm all in. I got to reach out to this dude.
So let's stop right there. Here's data point one of how I already know this is going to be a good podcast. One, this is happening because somebody did something. That's it. Yep. Somebody did something. Somebody liked, commented, posted, shared, whatever, did something, and that connected us, and here we are. So lesson one from the podcast, if you're done now, do something.
Yeah, the beauty of social media, the good side of social media, we should say.
Well, it can be. It really can be.
Absolutely.
So that's awesome. So that's okay. So that's what brought us here. We've tried 2 different times to do this podcast. One, I was COVID. 2, I had roofers in my house, and we didn't want to subject the listener to this constant beating. And you decided to show up for the 3rd time, and here we are, just rolling with this thing, man.
Yeah, man, absolutely, dude. And then I kicked the cats out of the house, so they weren't bouncing in the screen, and us having to cancel a 3rd time.
All right, so here I am. I'm a South Dakota kid calling you from Florida. You're an Illinois kid I'm talking to in San Diego, and we got a lot of ground to cover between there and here. But tell me this. So you tell me. Here's what I want to know. 2 things. What do you do now? And then I want you to tell me what you were doing in 6th grade.
That's if I can remember. All right. So what do I do now? So right now, I'm a men's health and fitness coach. I run an online program called the Lean Body Method out here in San Diego, but it's a remote coaching program. For any ladies listening, don't worry if we talk health and fitness. It's the same stuff. It works for you as well. So yeah, I'm in the health, fitness, performance industry out here. And in 6th grade, oh man, what was I doing? I'm at Eugene Field. When I reflect back on there, I mean, the one thing I do remember was they built a new playground, and there was this pretty wide epic slide, and there would be a big wooden, I don't know, not railing at the top, and we played King of the Hill on the slide. And looking back, it's one of those things that there's absolutely no way these kids are allowed to do it today. And rightfully so, because we're just nailing each other. That would be my memory of 6th grade, is just getting annihilated on a hot metal slide where, you're getting your legs taken out from you, and how people weren't just absolutely, broken legs is beyond me. But yeah, we made it.
Oh man, I love that story. We really don't let kids be kids anymore.
Yeah, man, I'm not a parent, and I like to think I would be a parent who would recognize the need to let my kids be rough and tumble and kind of go through the experiences, both probably physically and emotionally, and have some of those challenges. Easy to say from the outside. I'm sure, then I have a little girl, and I'm just devastated for anything bad happening to her. So Yeah, I grown up in Midwest, like I was saying, like I grew up with like a woods connected to my backyard. And like for my mom, it was like, hey, like screw off, like go play in the woods and like getting to like run around and like build forts and trails and like that kind of stuff. Like I was really fortunate to have like that kind of childhood. And yeah, I don't know that a lot of kids get that. I mean, there's so much more interconnectedness through devices, where we obviously like had to ride our bikes over to each other's house to like even talk to each other, where, I have nieces and nephews that a lot of their social time is through devices, and like we just physically did not have that. So there was a lot more like physical like go over, knock on the door, hey, Danny home, and like and actually have to go through
Yeah, man, I had to ride 2 miles on gravel roads to get to
it.
my closest neighbor and the only neighbor really that had a kid even roughly my age. And what was great is at the end of that 2 mile ride, by the time I got to his house, we were only 1/4 of a mile away from a paved road. And then I could ride my bike on a paved
Yeah,
road, which I never got to do. And I'm
that's
telling
funny.
you, as a farm kid riding a bike on dirt roads, like not, I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
legit
yeah,
dirt roads,
yeah, yeah.
to all of a sudden get to a paved road where you could weave in, and it wasn't a very well traveled road. I mean, we're talking
Sure,
rural South Dakota here.
sure.
And so I could weave in and out of the dotted lines and
How many?
ride the long
How
white
big was
line,
your
and it was awesome.
community that you're from?
Well, so the town where I went to high school at the time was 325, but it's grown since then. It's
Oh
probably
wow, yeah.
360.
So
Yeah,
man,
yeah,
you had a different experience for sure. That's crazy.
totally,
Yeah.
totally. So I started kindergarten with, well, I'll say it this way: I graduated with 21 kids, 13 of
Wow.
which I started kindergarten with.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, sports
So
were
yeah, it's
interesting, right? Like
oh, I got to do everything.
yeah,
I
sure.
could be an all-star in everything, and then I went to
Yeah.
college and realized I wasn't really good at anything.
Yeah.
But
Well,
in my little community, I'm like, hey,
yeah,
I'm good.
you're not actually a defensive tackle somehow.
Yeah,
That's
that's
funny,
right.
man.
140-pound defensive tackle, but
Yeah, that's
whatever.
crazy. Yeah,
But there's
what
some
a
beauty in
different
that too,
world.
man.
Oh, I'm
There's
sure, man. You guys
there's
know
some
everybody.
yeah, there's some false confidence that gets built there that you can draw upon many, many different times in your life. And I think it's
That's
been
funny.
kind of the secret weapon.
That's funny. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It used to be yeah, the big fish in the small pond pretty quick.
Yeah.
And when you have 325 people. That's
Yeah.
funny, man.
I had no idea I couldn't be a defensive tackle. I just
Oh,
was. I
yeah,
had no idea. So, okay. Then you just kind of figure out. Anyway, that's so okay, let's go back. Sixth grade to San Diego, sixth grade in
sure.
Illinois, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
To San Diego. Bridge this gap. So, and we don't need to go 25 minutes here, but just give us the highlights of how you get from sixth grade at Eugene Field in
Yeah,
Illinois,
yeah,
next
yeah.
to a park, into what you're doing now, which is helping people transform their lives from a health standpoint.
So, growing up, I was an active kid. I played sports. Like you, wasn't a huge kid, so sports probably weren't going anywhere. And I ended up going to I'm going to go to Northern Illinois for business. And I remember sitting in an accounting class being like, I absolutely hate this. Like, what am I doing? So I transferred schools, ended up in Illinois State University, where I graduated with a degree in kinesiology, which is the study of movement. And I really didn't know exactly what that meant I was going to do, but I knew I could marry an interest of actually making an impact with people in something that I was actually interested in, because I'd find myself like, reading nutrition, reading exercise. Like I was interested in going to the gym as a really small guy and like trying to like build some muscle, which was, obviously challenging. So graduated with that degree. Me and a girlfriend at the time moved from Illinois to San Diego on kind of not a whim, but sort of. I mean, like to the point of like 8 days before we leave, we're like, we probably should get a place and, rent an apartment on roommates.com. Don't recommend. And it's been burned twice. Ended up out here, worked in a bicycle shop because that's what I grew up doing. My dad owns a pedal bike store for 47 years in Illinois. He just actually retired. And so I was able to get a job at a bicycle shop making like $14 an hour. We both have kinesiology degrees, not sure how we're going to use them out here. She ends up working in a physical therapy office, making absolute pennies, which was absurd. And eventually started personal training, and then got into a rehab clinic. And I spent about 5 or 6 years working as a corrective exercise specialist on the rehab side of a physical therapy and chiropractic office, which was really impactful. Lots of good mentorship from like the body side. But I always had this interest in more of, helping somebody rehab an injury, super exciting. But I was more interested in the kind of lifestyle management and really helping people step into more just like a holistic approach of health and fitness, not just rehabbing something. So I ended up back into like personal training. I kept looking at that as like, this is an inroad for that, but it misses a really key piece. Is the in-person personal training model has this built in, I hate to call it like babysitting, but like you need a growth gap. You need an opportunity where like you have to actualize and put in some of the physical work on your own. And so then I ended up doing an online model where now I can manage people around nutrition. We can manage lifestyle. We can manage exercise. And we kind of hit all of like the key pillars that are going to be really necessary to make some pretty massive changes. But more importantly, like you have that growth gap where like you really have to step up and like do that physical work. And I can mentor, monitor, and guide, but I'm not dragging someone through the process. And yeah, that's where I'm at now. Loving life in San Diego.
All right. So I see you're a dude who likes jumps. So you go from Illinois to San Diego, and you go from accounting to kinesiology.
Yeah.
So these are some leaps, man.
Yeah, it was
I
well,
love
and
it.
it was, to be fair, it was a business degree, but accounting was the straw that broke the back of the camel, broke the camel's back when I realized, man, I do not like this.
Well, as somebody who's got a business and accounting
Okay.
degrees, I can tell you don't judge a business degree by the quality of the accounting class.
Okay. Fair. Fair. Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, that's another podcast. So look, here's what I want to know. Tell me about, so now we're to present time. Tell me about who it is specifically, in as much detail as you can give. Who is it that kind of shows up to you, and who is it that you just love to help? And then I'll go back from there. But just kind of give us the avatar of who the person is that you just kind of love to show up for.
Sure. Yeah, I get to work with kind of a specific guy, really. I tend to work with entrepreneurs and business owners, and this kind of came from me myself when I was kind of starting my own quote, small business, joining some groups, meeting some other, young guys who were entrepreneurs chasing their goals, and I really connected with this crowd in the sense that as much as I'm passionate about health and fitness, it's really something that supports my life. It doesn't consume it, and these were guys that needed an avenue for improvement because exercise is not going to be their number one focus, like their business is. And getting to step in and support entrepreneurs and business owners has been that's kind of the guy I attract. That's who I get to work with. It's super fun because again, these are guys who they are trying to like build big things. And they recognize like the vehicle themselves is a lead domino for success. Like they have to be healthy, they have to be fit, but it's really easy, and a lot of them do it. They push it to the wayside, and like they end up sacrificing their health in pursuit of wealth. And then ultimately they have to kind of come full circle and address that because it does end up kind of biting them in the ass. And all of a sudden they realize like, all right, I'm missing some things here. So yeah, that's the avatar.
So give me the typical story that a guy, your phone rings, you pick it up, and it's the story you've heard 400 or 500 times. Tell me about what that person is going through when they finally say, God damn it, I got to do something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's interesting. Usually they'll start off with like, yeah, and I hear the story about how they were fit. And it's like, great,
Oh,
man. Like
very important.
yeah,
Very important.
yeah. High school. I'm hearing high school sports, and I'm hearing all the glory days,
Yeah.
and then it's a pretty common tale of again really head down focused on business and having things slip away until the point where they feel like they have the bandwidth to address this, which is again for most people, I'd tell them like you're kind of thinking backwards, like address this, you'll increase your bandwidth, but it does take a level of openness in their mind that they have like the time to address this thing. So they've kind of maybe come out the other side of success, or and when I say success, meaning like getting their business off the ground where they feel like they have the time to make this a focus. And that really is like, I would say like the really common arc that I'm getting from people that I work with.
So what are they hoping when they call you? And let's assume it's me. It's me.
Sure.
And I'll assume that by the time I'm calling you, I know that I used to be in better shape. I know I used to make it a higher priority. I know that it's important, and I know I'm not doing shit about it. I know that
Yeah.
I'm eating poor, but I also know that my business counts on me night, taking long trips, working nights and weekends, entertaining customers, having light desserts, all the things,
Yep.
because
Yeah.
I've got
Yeah.
this business that I said, damn it, I'm going to be successful at.
Yep.
And what I really need is a sharp mind and the ability to have more revenue than expenses, and the rest is just going to have to wait. And the rest of it is my physical being.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm calling you now, and I'm kind of telling you, okay, look, I used to be something in high school. I used to be fit. I'm probably 50 pounds overweight. Do you think what is something what do you think I should do here? What's the next step for me? Answer that very first question for the person who's even kind of questioning if really they need it yet.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good question. And I always tell people when I get on a call, I'm like, dude, there's no massive sales pitch here because I'm actually like gonna work with you if we work together. So like, you do have to be ready to do the work, and I can't drag somebody through it. I will say most guys do show up. It's the physical piece first that is like the final like red flag. It could be like the photo they saw, or like they went to do something physical and it was like really challenging. So they usually do step in with like, again, tons of weight loss, but pretty quickly it will shift to the performance side and like how you feel. And I think anybody who's like gone through a process of going from unhealthy to healthy, like, yeah, it's great to look better. We all want that, but it turns into like, how do you feel? So for those guys, I would say, I mean, it really does just come down to like, is this even a priority for you? Like, why does this even matter to you? And really trying to get to like a root cause. And it's different for everybody. It can be, I've had guys where it's like, they've had like the heart, flutter at the park chasing their kids. Spoke with another gentleman recently who like couldn't get into the ride at Six Flags, like physically couldn't fit. And so it's those little like life experiences that is really like the tipping point to where like, is this actually like something that you have to address? Like, so we have to kind of find that. Like, why is this even important to you? Like, why do you even care? I mean, that's the question I'm usually flipping it back to people. Like, there's got to be like, there's like, we all know we're supposed to be healthy and fit. Like, let's be real. But like, why does this actually matter to you? And there usually is a turning point. And it's sad because it's like, how do we speed this up for people? How do you get to this point before you have to like have a fire alarm bell go off in your health, like liver enzymes popping off on a blood lab test? And it's like, we don't have to wait to that point, but I would say there's a big there's a turning point for a lot of guys, unfortunately.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for listening to Normal 40, the podcast. If you're here, it's probably not an algorithm or an accident. If you're here, it's probably you. And if you're here, I want to invite you to try something else. 2 years ago, I launched a community called The Insider. And when I created it, I thought it was going to be a coaching community where I could come in and teach. But what it's become over the last few months is something radically different. It's a place where we hang out, where we help one another, where we support one another, where people come in really skeptical that there's really a group of people like us doing things like this, and really skeptical if there's anything out there that can be helpful to them. And what they find after only a few calls is that we're really here, we really show up, there really are people in your corner, and that if you lean into it, it can change your life. I'm inviting you to be an insider. It might be the best decision of your lifetime. Go to normal40.com and you'll find the insider, and I hope to see all of you on the inside. So now let's assume that I'm in the gym, same person, same avatar. I want to make a change. I'm still a little bit skeptical of whether or not I've really got time for this. Walk me through how you would coach me in the first session, 2, 3, 4. 1, how you'd coach me, and 2, what am I going to realize that I didn't even know was just weeks away?
So all my coaching is remote. So I'm not actually in there in the gym with you, but we'll still set the stage. So specifically, and you did mention the gym. This is usually actually where I do start, guys. It's like, let's get into the physical piece first. We have to address nutrition. We're gonna have to address lifestyle, mindset, but the exercises are really good starting point because there's something about the physical action, like literally getting your body moving, that feels like forward momentum in your life. So for a starting point is, we actually start everything with guaranteed minimum standards. And this is really shocking for most guys. And it's particularly like in the entrepreneurial crowd, I have to pull everybody way back. So I have an intake form, and it's like, how many days can you realistically work out 45 minutes? I can't tell you how many people write 6 or 7 days. And it's like, well, if we could do that, we probably wouldn't be where we are. So we start everything with a guaranteed minimum standard. Like, what is the absolute minimum you can absolutely do? No business fire can come up, no work situation, no kid can get sick, that we can absolutely nail. And if that means 2 workouts, boom, we start there. So the first thing is like, let's actually set the minimum standards of what these are going to be within like your specific personalized, program. And again, it's going to be less than everybody thinks. And then I think the first thing guys realize is how easy it is to overshoot it. And because I preface this warning with everyone, and I'm like, hey, less is more this first week. We are trying to hit a standard, and we're trying to actually get some really good data to move into our second week. But like, I need you to undershoot it because we don't need to be sore. And I would say the majority overshoot it, even with that like dire warning. And so I would tell everybody to like pace yourself. This is a long-term play. There's nothing that you're going to do in a week that's going to make any radical change. The only thing we're looking to do in the first like weeks is actually set standards, set habits, and put in systems that you can then stretch out for the next 4, 6, 9, 12 months. There's nothing you're going to do in the first week that's going to make any radical difference outside of some crazy crash diet, some water manipulation level. It's all nonsense. Sorry, that was a little bit of a rant.
No, it was great. Hey, I call my all my conversations rambles. So tell me this: as you're talking to me, I'm telling you my story, right?
Mhm.
I'm still your avatar. In your head, what do you know I've already tried that has failed?
It's pretty common right now. I hear a lot of keto, I hear a lot of carnivore, particularly from like the male demographic. That's probably the big one. Man, I talk to a lot of guys. Oh, I'm doing 75 hard again, and it's like, okay, is the
I don't know
goal?
what 75 hard is.
So
What's that?
75 hard is a program that is designed to, it's marketed as more of like, it's a mindset program. And it's great because it's 2 workouts a day. One, and then one has to be outside. You have to read 10 pages of a personal development book. You have to drink a gallon of water. You have to pick a diet and stick to it. So I think you have to take check-in photos every day. All these great like accountability pieces. Sure. So it's 75 days of that. And if you mess up, you go back to day one. And I have talked to so many men who are starting 75 hard for the 4th time, for the 5th time, which again, I can appreciate it from a mindset standpoint because I'm sure there's massive personal growth that will take place. But when we're talking specifically your health, and again, this can come back to carnivore, this can come back to keto, really any approach, like if you can't see yourself stretching this out for a long period of time, it's like, gosh, you're wasting your time. And then beyond that, particularly when somebody does something like, oh, I'm on my 4th round of trying this, it's like, is your goal to do 75 hard? Is your goal to not be a type 2 diabetic anymore? Because maybe there's an easier path. And while I can appreciate doing hard things like a keto challenge or a carnivore challenge, I love doing hard things. They have their place. But from a health and fitness standpoint, we need to figure out how do we make this easier for you. And like that's not as sexy and cool to post about on social media that you're not doing this badass fitness program. That's how you actually stretch this out into a lifestyle and how you get to actually be a healthy, fit guy who can go do whatever he wants when he wants, and then choose to step into some like really hard challenges. So I think people have it backwards. They go, I'm going to do a challenge to get healthy and fit. No, get healthy and fit so you can go do a challenge.
How many people by the time they arrive to you have tried to just get exercise in a bottle in some form or fashion through supplements or
Uh,
whatever?
a lot. Yeah. And it's usually more just on the supplement side, like, hey, what do you think of this? And I think, and again, my answer is very common. It's like, oh, it's a great tool, but those tools are usually marketed as solutions, and they're not, right? Like they are tools. They have their place. It's amazing actually to me how much supplements can be marketed with insane results and attributing insane results to something so simple. So yeah, I would say quite a few.
Yeah, because that's the easy button. I
Yeah.
don't have to, I've got money because I got a business.
Yep.
I don't have time because I've got a business.
Hmm.
I'm not very healthy. I'm getting overweight because I've got a business. Here's a pill that I can
Yep.
buy and that I've got the money to buy. It doesn't take me time to to dedicate to it. It's not a lot of work. It doesn't require much of me. I'm going to
Yep.
try it. So it's no
And
wonder that the
yeah.
supplement business is a
Yeah.
multi-billion-dollar business, which, like
Yep.
to your point, yeah, okay, do it in association with something. It goes back to
Sure.
the very first thing we decided up front. Somebody's got to do something here.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
this is the main theme. Just effing do something.
Yep.
And I
Well,
love it.
yeah.
Look, I got to say that. I know I'm hopping in here, baby.
No, no,
Hold on.
please. Yeah. Yeah. Please.
So I love the fact that you're trying to, I think people, but since we're talking about dudes here, we kind of, look, I'm a South Dakota farm kid. And I remember on the opening day of pheasant season, a Labrador retriever he can't wait to just bust out of the kennel and
Sure.
get going. And I think once a person, but once a human being decides, I'm going to do this, I'm going to get healthy, they channel this, they just can't wait to get started.
Hmm.
And you know that, and they're going to go, tear a hamstring,
Yep.
bust open a bicep, be sore all over, trying to do what they were able to do 25 years ago. And it's going to destroy any momentum that they've got right off the bat. So
Yep.
to take them back to, no, hold on, this is where we're going to start. It's the
Yep.
proverbial, what we would do is we would run our dogs like crazy before we actually got them in a field,
Sure.
just so that by the time it was time to start, they were settled, they were in a
Hmm.
rhythm. And so I
Yeah.
think that's absolutely brilliant way to start the process.
Yeah. And I'll say this, particularly like, again, entrepreneurs and business owners, like part of their success and what's really helped them achieve business success is like they are go-getters. Like they get shit done, right? Like they do go. So like they own that identity piece and it serves them in that. But the best like distinction I can create for anybody listening to this is you cannot treat your health and your fitness like a marketing launch. It can't be this short, intense piece done for a limited amount of time and focus. it's got to be like the business plan. It's the thing that's going to stretch you out over a long period of time. And again, like the unsexy word of lifestyle. But again, those guys, like they've had such success from like going fast and hard that they think that that's the answer here. And beyond just the inability to maintain it, and that creates this whole incongruency when you set these standards and you can't hit them. In addition, you're actually like wasting a lot of physiological leverage, and you can be way smarter, meaning like when somebody's like, oh, you're being lazy only if you're working out 4 days per week or 5 days. And it's like, no, you're going to get a better result with that 4 to 5 day plan than you would with 7, because we're going to leverage rest. We're going to actually be able to create more change with that approach. So it's not like less is lazy. It's just more optimal for driving results. And again, a lot of guys want to throw all of the levers at one time. And it's like, you got to save that stuff and use it when you need. Like you can diet more intentionally later. Like, all right, now I'm going to walk 20,000 steps. And it's like, cool. Well, you were walking 2,000. Let's actually get up to 6. Let's soak results from this level. And then when we start to have some metabolic adaptation, we still have some bandwidth to make some adjustments versus going, from 0 to 10. If you go to 0 to 10, there's nowhere else to go. So you can actually think of it as like being very intentional with that leverage, which supports your physiology, but also is going to support your psychology. And you're not going to burn out and then create this whole incongruency issue with your subconscious mind and feel like, oh yeah, I really can't do this, when you just took a bad path that proved that story right.
Where do, either in your experience or people who don't follow your program, who just rush right in and they do the 75 hard or whatever, where do they quit? What are, when you see these things happening, what are the clues that this person is about to go back to the old ways?
Man, I don't know that there's a place that I see it. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, there is. It's when life gets busy. And like that life gets busy, that could mean, again, like, if you get sick and like the family catches COVID, or we have a vacation, or I had a honeymoon, any like real business and busyness and stress will really knock people off. And again, it's very avoidable. And I see it, man. Like there's a few people I follow where I'm like, I'm watching the same guy do the same thing over and like years. And it's like building in an excuse to quit by making the plan so time consuming and so involved that when the slightest disruption is going to happen, of course you're going to fall off. You should tend to your kids. Like they should take precedent. You probably are going to need to tend to your business. So if you don't build in a plan that like works around that and an approach, like it's not going to last. And so it really is when like something business fire comes up, or like work trip, you get super busy, and then all of a sudden you come back to it and there's no continuing. And if you don't have health habits, fitness standards, nutrition systems that you can actually take through those chaotic periods of life, like you're kind of wasting your time. Like everybody can do it when it's easy. And it's not about like gutting up and saying like, come on, like work harder during those times. It's like, no, can you be strategic? Can you book your hotel to the closest Whole Foods when you go on that work trip so you can knock out that nutrition piece? Can you walk the airport instead of sitting and having a beer? Like there are ways to interact with whatever situation that you have and inject these pillars in. And like, that's the work, not doing this crazy hard thing. And then when life gets busy, it all just falls apart. Like that's a miss, huge miss.
Sure. Quick story. And I love that, by the way, the hacks that prevent people from falling off. I mean, there will not be a single person certainly listening, and probably very few people even living, who didn't try something that was health-based,
Sure.
was a health-conscious effort that they just quit doing. And most of us have done it more than once.
Myself.
Absolutely.
Sure.
And so you talking about accepting that that's going to happen, but having a tool to just re-engage, to not disengage, to just separate for a while and to give yourself permission to separate, but to know that you're going to come back. I think that's hugely helpful. I want to talk about lifestyle and mindset and nutrition. But I want to share a story. You said two things really interesting. You and I don't know each other. The
Right.
people listening, and this is the first time we've talked. We established that. You talked about. I asked you what's going on in the person's mind when they come in, and you said it's usually something physical that they felt or something visual that they saw.
Yeah.
And for me, dude, I saw a picture of me. I saw a picture of me in reality that didn't fit the picture of me in my head.
Yes.
And I'm like, what the hell happened here? And it happened fast. It happened really fast that I just let things get away from me. But it was this awesome kind of acceptance that the photo isn't lying. It wasn't
Yeah.
Photoshopped. The photo's real. And I had to accept that this was my reality. And then I had to quit telling myself the bullshit story that what I was doing was fine. And then I had to do something. And I did. You know what I did? The other thing you said that resonated with me is, well, usually guys come in after carnivore or keto. I
Yeah.
went keto. And
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I know I have too much carbs, and I can give up potatoes and bread for a period of time,
Sure.
and beer. And so that's
Yeah.
what I did. I probably cut 90% of my carbs out of
Mhm.
out of my life for about 100 days. And it did cut weight. My energy went way up.
Yeah, I would hope it would
And
cut weight if we cut beer, potatoes, and carbs and
yeah,
like a whole
exactly.
food group. I mean, it would be insane if we didn't lose weight.
What are these green things?
Yeah.
Broccoli? What?
Yeah.
So, but here's my point. When I got done with that, I dropped the weight. I just started introducing that stuff back.
Mhm.
And I still don't eat the carbs I used to, but I have
Sure.
beer. I drink beer. I eat
Mhm.
potato chips. I'll have a sandwich. I'll eat a hamburger. I'll have all those things, but just in way more moderation than what it used to be. My
Yep.
weight stayed off. My energy stayed up. My lifestyle was adjusted. But for me, if I'm being honest, and while I was doing that, it didn't start with an extreme change in gym activity until my energy changed through my nutrition. And
Yep.
once I started putting different fuel in my body, and then my body had to learn how to use it different, because for
Sure.
30 years it was used to farm kid meat, potatoes, gravy, breads, you name it.
Sure.
And when I learned how to use this different energy differently, my energy went up. And then I went to the gym, and that, I think, is what's maintained for me. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to let you comment on that in whatever way you want. But I want to kind of transition then into, let's talk about nutrition, because for a lot of people, it's easier to go to the gym than it is to give up a cheeseburger.
Sure. Yeah. 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 And by the way, one thing we should touch on for sure is like, do you even have to go to a gym? Most of my clients leverage home gyms. Myself, I have a home gym. I haven't gone to a real gym now in like 6 years. And again, these are like, how do we make things easier? So yeah, first off, glad to hear you had like such amazing success on keto. And I always find, I suppose my big comment on this would be, and this is where like marketing confusion really comes for people. And they're like, oh, I see all the time in like comments like, oh, blank didn't work for me. And it's like, okay, what didn't work for you? And like, what was the result you're trying to get? Like, oh, specifically weight loss. Like keto didn't work for me. Like, oh, this didn't work for me. And it's like, well, okay, once you have a foundational understanding of like how fat loss works, you can evaluate like why it didn't work. Carbohydrates do not specifically cause any level of fat gain. Yes, we can talk about they raise insulin, but outside of with an elevated level of total calories, they're not going to cause fat gain. Protein, by the way, also is insulinogenic and will raise your insulin levels. So when you get that like fear component of if you eat carbs, your insulin's up and you can't burn fat, they are ignoring the idea of you still need excessive calories. So it shouldn't be a shock really to anybody if we were to cut out beer, potatoes, rice, bread, joy. No, just kidding. But like if we pull out that many things, like it would be almost strange not to lose weight, right? Like we've literally removed an entire macronutrient, irregardless of whether you even make it into ketosis, just by a removal diet of any sort, you're going to lose weight, because at the end of the day, total calories are going to be dictating your fat loss. That's not like sexy, and everybody is trying to like find like I don't want to use the word a hack, but a marketing angle to show that something is doing something specifically unique to create that change. It's not. So like if you remove all of those foods, unless you start like just bringing in massive amounts of ribeyes and avocados, which like you're just not going to overeat on like you would a bag of chips and beer and bread. And by the way, I bet the bread was buttered too, which also had some fats
Real
in it.
butter too, boss
Heck
man.
yeah, man.
None
Let's
of this
go.
fake stuff.
Yeah. So I think that's really important for people to recognize, because most people's introduction to any nutritional strategy is the idea that this is somehow foundationally different. And it's really about like, no, it's foundationally different because you can do it, right? Like there's people that lose weight eating vegan. There's people that lose weight eating higher carbohydrate diets. So again, I love that you found an off ramp to reintroduce those foods. And I also love that you figured out like, hey, moderation, it's not sexy. Can't market it as a program, but you can occasionally have some things, particularly when you get to the result that you're after. And this is a conversation I'll have to have with a lot of guys, that getting to where you want to go will be different than maintaining where you are. And so while we don't have to jump into the deep end, like there is going to be a period of time where like, again, if your goal is to lose weight, depending on how big you are, man, eating a pint of Ben and Jerry's is kind of tough to fit into that daily calorie load. But once you're where you are, like, yeah, you can probably have that occasionally, and you're not going to like fall off the wheels aren't going to like run off the cart, and you can have a beer and you can have a burger. Like there is this place where you can have moderation, and there's nothing that is inherently fattening, period. Like there's no specific food that burns fat if you eat it, or will help you or will put on fat if total calories are equated for. And that's, I think, so confusing to people for some reason.
So let's go back to this avatar of me.
Mm-hmm.
This client who's calling you for the first time and own a business, and I'm busy and I've tried a bunch of things, and I know that I need to do something. And there's a driver that's brought me in. And for me, let's use my real story.
Yeah,
It was I saw a picture of me that just I didn't like.
sure.
And so now you've got me, you've got we're in communication, and I'm working your program as it relates to, okay, let's just start with 2 days a week of some moderate exercise. Great.
Mm-hmm.
What's the first thing you tell me to do as it relates to nutrition? I mean, what questions do you ask me? What do you need to know from me to know
Sure.
how you can help me?
So again, I have a rather lengthy intake form, and around nutrition, there's a few things. It's like, how many meals do you prefer to eat per day? Like we want to know that. I'm very interested to know how fast does hunger come on for you. That's usually, that can be an indication. Like very typically, you probably eat, if it comes on really quick, typically we're probably eating too much carbohydrate. And then the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna audit your nutrition. What does your food actually look like? Like, let's see it. So I have different auditing tools for different people. Here, let me backtrack. I have some educational pieces in my program, and this is like the boring stuff, but like, yeah, like you're going to watch this 30-minute video on metabolism. So you actually understand like the rules of the game. Like this is how stuff actually works in your body. Once we have
All right, so
that,
let's jump to the punchline though. When I send this to you, what are you seeing where you go, here's the
oh,
problem?
what are yeah. So we want to see like meal composition. Like what does it look like? What's just an average plate? So photo food journaling is my preferred, even over tracking macro.
And
And
what do
like
you typically see where you say, yep, yeah, okay,
Man, it
here's
can
the
be all
problem?
over the place. Now, granted, by the time people are actually photo food journaling, they have gone through a training where they've learned how to establish a more balanced plate. Not everybody gets right into that. So, I mean, I've seen it all, man. I recently had a guy where like very first few days, every single meal was fast food. Every single meal was a Wendy's, Jack in the Box, a McDonald's, and it's like, oh boy, like we got some work to do here. All right. So ultimately, though, we want to find what are going to become our go-to meals. And so if we can identify like somebody sends through a stir, like an omelet in the morning with some vegetables and a side of berries, and you're like, cool, you like this? Oh yeah, this is great. Cool. Let's lean into that. And now we have a good entry point for a go-to meal that we can start to bring some structure to. And then from that structure, we can create novelty, meaning like, hey, you have a breakfast that you've sent through a couple times, and maybe you got it from the recipe guide, but like I'm seeing it pop through a couple times. All right, it's eggs, some vegetables, some berries, awesome go-to meal. Do you enjoy this? Perfect. Yes. We have structure. How can we create novelty from this so you stay interested in it? Hey, maybe instead of making it an omelet one day, we do like over easy. We add some cheese, and instead of blueberries, we bring in some kiwi and we pump up the vitamin C, right? Those highlighting those go-to meals that fit these kind of the structure and framework that we're looking for, and then trying to double down on them, honestly.
So
Like
if you
get repeats.
Hey everyone, thank you once again for listening to Normal 40 the podcast. Look, there's a reason why this podcast is going to get downloaded thousands of times. And there's a reason why thousands of people show up to what I write and what we share. And there's a reason why hundreds of you join me on The Insider. The Insider is a community that I thought was going to be a place for me to show up and teach and coach. But what it's become is a fan base for people who are ready to get started. It's a place to connect to the people you're going to need for the best decade of your life. And it's the most affordable community, most valued community that I can offer. And I show up in there at least twice a month. And we do live events and have special guests. And I even record podcasts in there from time to time. So look, go to normal40.com, join the Insider, check it out for yourself, and do yourself a favor. Let's be up to something. All right, I'm going to get back to the podcast. Yeah, I'm going to ask you the most annoying question ever. I just want one piece of advice for something I can do. So imagine, so there's going to be all sorts of people listening who are never
Sure.
going to reach out to you. They're
Sure.
never going to reach out to me either, but they're here because something with them is resonating. And I want you to just think through, in the avatar that we're talking about here, what is one piece of advice that you can give someone as it relates to nutrition? That's just do this. If you do nothing else, just do this. It's within your control. It's
Mhm.
within your capability. Do this and see what happens.
Yep. So I would say plate protein first. Like when you sit down and make a meal, plate protein first. Like, do you have a portion of lean protein on your plate? And if you don't, make that adjustment. That could be obviously that could be chicken breast, that could be lean beef, that could be fish, that could be tofu if, if you're vegan, but plate lean protein first.
Is there a rule of thumb for protein to body size that's
So typically what we would do is we would take 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. So say you're a 250-pound guy that wants to be 180, we would work towards 180 grams of protein. Whether you hit that target, ideally doesn't matter. You can use other, you could use just portion control techniques. You don't actually have to like measure that, but that would be the pretty basic standard that we're going to look at.
Oh man, that's super helpful.
And very important to point out, it's ideal body weight, not current body weight. Cause like, again, if you're a 300-pound guy, you don't need to eat 300 grams of protein. Like it's a lot, it's a lot of protein.
It seems like an important clarifier.
Yeah. Cause it confuses people. Very big difference.
So you also, in your practice, you also talked about lifestyle and mindset. Which of those would you typically go to next with a client?
Mindset. So mindset is huge. I mean, if I could start people there, I would, but it's just like not sexy enough. And it really comes down to, this usually gets established like when we first start, like, why are you here? Like, why do you want to do this? But really like digging into that. And, I have just a really short little worksheet called the big why. And it's really just like, how's your life going to change if you do this? And like, why is this actually important? Like get to those like deeper levels with yourself. Yeah, you probably didn't like how you looked in that photo, but at the end of the day, it's like, well, cool. Like, don't look at photos, but like, what did that actually like mean to you? And it probably stung a little bit deeper. And it's like, did that hit the ego? Is it about how like your wife looks at you? Is it like, I'm not being a good role model for my kids? And like the deeper that you can go and really craft this tight little paragraph, if you will, about how your life's going to change, how your relationships are going to change, how your business is going to change, if that's a key driver for you, which for a lot of the guys I work with, it is. And really like crafting, like, again, the big why. So like my favorite one on this client story is I had a gentleman who, super busy, three daughters under 12, 3 separate businesses. And his big why when we started, I'm sharing, he's shared this publicly. So I can share this. He was drinking a lot of alcohol, an excessive amount. He was using it to sleep, using it to mitigate stress. And his big why, yes, he needed to lose weight to get healthy. And he lost 46 pounds in 90 days, which is incredible. But his big why was he's going to end generational alcoholism in his family. And I'm like, that's going to move you. Like that's going to get you going. And like knowing that his daughters aren't going to watch what he later experienced, which was his dad get a terminal diagnosis for liver disease. And it's like, that's going to get you going. Like I get chills thinking about that. Like, so really crafting a big why, like, why is this really important to you? Because at the end of the day, you losing 15 pounds, like, throw on a bag of your shirt. Why is this important? Then the next piece is we do have to step into like a new identity. And it's called like, we can just add the tag. Like, what's the identity that you already have? For business owners, like they wear that badge proudly. They're entrepreneurs, right? Maybe you're a dad, maybe you're a mom. And it's like, cool. What does Fit Mom actually show up and do? And you really start thinking through that lens and trying to make decisions through that lens. And again, you have multiple identities and you already make decisions like this. Again, if you're a mom, like, man, you probably are patient, maybe not all the time, but you probably try to exercise patience and kindness and whatever. So adding that tag of Fit Mom, like, well, what does the Fit Mom eat at like the kids' softball game? And really trying to make decisions through that frame, because again, there's a congruency piece. And then the last piece in it is really setting hard lines. And this is like a tool that you can pull as needed, but like being very intentional around challenged areas. So again, say when you travel, your nutrition goes to hell. And it's like, well, okay, we need to set some actual hard lines of what you are going to do, what you are not going to do. And we have to back it up with that identity piece. So I have a client right now. He's prepping. When I say prepping, he's going to Vegas in on the first with like 5 people. It's kind of hard to like not go on I don't want to say a bender in Vegas, but like it's hard to do Vegas healthy. Let's be real. Like there's going to be some alcohol and some celebratory activity involved. And it's like, well, how do you navigate this? Do you just say, hey, I'm going to Vegas and screw it all, the progress you've made? No, we set hard lines and then we back it up with identity-based decision making. And then he's going to be able to navigate that. And it'll be a really great test. It'll be a useful test, a useful experience. So that's kind of like the mindset, the big pieces. And then again, the identity piece is something that you're always constantly tweaking and trying to manage, if you will. Sorry, that was very long.
No, it's great, man. How big of an issue for the people who, again, going back to this avatar, the person who finally picks up the phone, probably actually sends you an email, but reaches out to you. How big of a obstacle is alcohol for most of the people who are successful, busy, have an image, work their ass off, have put their entire identity into something that they're associated with. How big of a deal is alcohol?
I'd say it's a great question. I would almost be interested to go and like look at some numbers if I had them. I would say a good deal, man. A good deal. Do struggle with it. And it's in two camps. There's excessive alcohol, which again, like that gentleman where like, hey man, liver enzymes are up. Like you're getting red flags here. And then there is more celebratory lifestyle drinking that most guys do have to address. They really want to get like where they want to go. And again, this doesn't mean like you figured out, doesn't mean never having a beer, but like, hey, are we in the habit of like we come home and we after the hard day of work, we have 2 whiskeys to unwind? Like that's a point of leverage that we can address. So yeah, man, I would say there's a lot of stress mitigation, which is, by the way, don't use alcohol for that. And then the other piece would be networking, business trips, those things. There's a fair bit.
The people who are listening to this podcast are probably going to fall into one of two buckets.
Mm-hmm.
They're either somebody who has had struggles with alcohol in the past and they no longer do, or they're somebody who last week Tuesday sat on their couch after a long day and their kids went to bed and their spouse was in another room. They turned on a TV and they poured themselves more scotch than a bartender would pour them in a single pour, and they sat there and they drank it. And they did it for medication. And they did it the week before that and the week before that. Not every night, but more than once a week. And they know they're doing it for medication and they don't know what else to do about it. And I know this because I'm describing me. I've been there. I've done it. And I remember doing it. And in the moment, it didn't feel bad.
Sure.
But looking back at it, my kids were in bed. My spouse is in another room. I'm by myself watching something that is not at all beneficial to my future, drinking something that is not good for me. You know, if you want to be really inflammatory, you call it a poison, which sure, okay, that's fine. It is, but I will still enjoy a drink. But my whole point is when you add up all of those things, what in the hell is it if it isn't medication? And it's a sign that you're trying to escape something. And so if anybody's listening and this is you, and last Tuesday night you overserved yourself so that you could sleep, maybe the answer doesn't need to be alcohol. Maybe maybe it's doing something else. Maybe it's reaching out to Luke. Maybe it's reaching out to me. Maybe it's reaching out to a friend. Maybe it's doing something other than what you did, because I'm here to tell you, as somebody who used to deal with that and wrestle with that, I don't anymore. And my life is better because of it. And I don't miss it. And that doesn't mean I don't have a drink. It doesn't mean I don't go out with friends. It just means that I don't do it by myself on a couch on Tuesdays.
Yes. I love that. I love that frame. And that's, I'll say personally, I interact in a similar way with alcohol. It sounds. I would tell people also who are in that zone. This is, I think, so helpful. Is say that's you, and you're like, all right, well, these guys on this podcast say like, all right, drinking is a poison. I recognize that. I think of alcohol as a drug, and personally, I use it like that, meaning like I'm very intentional that like, hey, this isn't good for me, but it's going to be a celebratory experience, and the cost is worth it, and it's a very occasional thing. But one thing I would tell people, for a lot of people, it is a hurdle. It does feel like something that just has a little bit deeper pull than maybe like, hey, let's do this habit. Let's start this habit. Because again, maybe for some people it's stress, for some people helping sleep, which by the way, it's not improving your sleep, it's disrupting it. Might help you get to sleep, but your sleep quality is poor. So I would tell you, if that's you and you're kind of like thinking like I should tackle this, try this on and just say, just for this week, like I'm just going to try it this week. Don't commit to this thing that like, okay, I'm done drinking now. You don't have to go into the deep end. Just try it on this week and like give yourself the permission that, hey, I'm going to not drink alcohol this week with the intention that maybe I'm going to drink it next week. It opens up a little bit of a door for you to try this thing. And then maybe the next week you say, actually, maybe I'll try another week, and like just lighten the load on it a little bit.
As you know, Luke, and as the listeners of this podcast know, we don't rehearse anything. But I can't help but think that how we've talked about these first 3 issues, exercise, nutrition, and mindset, which turned into kind of alcohol, as something that impacts it. I can't help but think that as I just think about the normal person, that it's like, all right, I got to do something. I'm going to call Luke. I'm going to go to a gym. I got to exercise. And that's the first kind of thing. It's like, okay, fine. I didn't like the image of me. That isn't what I want me to look like. I'm going to exercise. Great. And it's hard, but we accept that that's what we need to do. And then we say, okay, this is great, but now you've got to change your diet. And the first reaction is, well, that's bullshit. I want to live. I
Yeah,
love
yeah, yeah.
potato chips. You can't tell me
Sure.
I can't have ice cream. I want to live. And it's all, you can't take away all my joy. It's what makes me happy. And slowly they realize that, hey, wait a minute. I can get by without the amounts of ice cream and breads and things that just aren't healthy for me. I can get by with that. And then the next one is alcohol. It's like, oh, screw you. If you think I'm going to give up,
Yeah.
I'm already exercising. I've
Yeah,
given
yeah.
up the bread. If you think
Yeah.
I need to give up alcohol, that's bullshit. This isn't for me. I'll never do it. You're full of it. I love alcohol. I blah, blah, blah. And then they kind of take care of that and they kind of heal. And what you realize through that is that every one of them starts off with the same argument. This is who I am and I love it.
Yep.
Okay, I'll change. This is who I am and I love it. Okay, I'll give that up next. This is
Yeah.
who I am and I'm going to defend it. Screw you. I don't have a problem with alcohol. Wait a minute. Maybe I did. And you kind of break down these walls. And what I tell everybody I get a lot of people who knew me when I was heavier and they see me now and I'm 50. So I get people asking me all the time, how do you stay trim? Because this is a dangerous age where you can fall off the rails really quickly.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, look, here's the deal. I don't really diet. I don't have a diet. I just really watch my carbs. I don't excessively. I work out 2 to 3 days a week and I just try to stay active and that's it. And it works for me.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I can't give up carbs. I'm not giving up alcohol. And I don't know if I've got time. And I'm like, well, look, here's the deal, dude. I'm not selling you anything, but here's a fact. If you want to look different, you've got to do something different. And it's not going to be obvious. It's not going to be easy and it's not going to be free. It's going to be a trade. I wrote a book called The Trade because to get what you want, you've got to give something up. In this case, maybe it's bread. In this case, maybe it's sitting on the couch. In this case, maybe it's drinking on Tuesday nights. But if you're not willing to trade those things, guess what? You're not willing to do shit. You're not going to get anywhere. You're just not. So just accept that and stay who you are or trade for it and have a chance at being something different. And it really comes back to that. I mean, it's black and white.
Yep.
Here are the facts.
Yeah.
Here are the facts. And you know them because you just described them to me. Yeah. And I think when you kind of present, especially dudes, man, because we kind of need a punch in the head sometimes. And how are you going to refute the fact that you said it right off the bat? How can it not be better for you if you give up bread, give up beer, give up some of your potatoes, give up ice cream? How can that not just be a net gain for you?
Sure.
Right? It's going to be. And the same is true if you cut back on alcohol. And the same is true if you exercise a little bit.
Yep.
So you kind of need a punch in the face sometimes to say, do something. It goes back to the first thing we discovered. Oh, you mean when somebody did something, you and I connected? Huh. Think about that.
And it was interesting hearing as you went through there, and it's like you hear give up this, and if you're on the other side of this, you're hearing a lot of things being taken from you, and it's like, man, I don't know about all this. Feels like all my joy is starting to be taken from me. What people fail to bring into this balance, and unfortunately, there's no way to experience it until you get there, there is a massive positive return on this. So unfortunately, like you can't test drive it, right? Like you can't go test drive being healthy and fit, and you won't know till you're there. And you're going to have to take a leap of faith and trust the fact that every person that you know who's gotten healthy and fit, they become obnoxious about it. They're like posting their workouts on Facebook. They're like they're like taking photos of their healthy meal they made. And like, you're like, dude, all right, we get it. And like the reason they're doing that is because they feel really good. And so you heard all these things like, oh, I got to give this up. It was all take. And it's like, well, what's in this for me? And it's like, you're going to feel freaking awesome. And like, you have to buy into that idea, and you have so much proof in the world and your friends and people that you know that have done it. Like I said, they're like the obnoxious ones, like beating the drum about like how great they feel. So you have to keep that in mind that there is a outcome to this that is so worth it. But I think it's important to then balance that with, that doesn't mean that you can never have an alcoholic drink unless that's, you choose to get to that point, because it is a deeper struggle for you and maybe something that you should figure out. Doesn't mean you can never have ice cream. Doesn't mean, so like the all or nothing's got to go. And then you have to buy into the fact that like, man, there is this brighter future where you have more energy, you sleep better, you feel better, and you're just going to be that annoying, healthy person.
All right, man, we got to put a bow on this. But one more question I've got for you. So the person listening to this probably has never reached out to you and probably has never reached out to me, but they're still listening because something here is resonating, something within the Normal 40 story, and something as it relates to them understanding that we are talking to them, that they are the avatar, that there is something that they need to do about how they look, how they feel, what they eat, all of these things. And it sucks because, like you said, it feels like you're giving something up, and it feels like the ultimate sacrifice because you don't want to give up living the way you're living. But you're at this place where you're just about willing to accept that, damn it, it's time. It's time because I
Yeah.
don't like how I look in the mirror. I don't like how I look in pictures. I don't like how I feel in the mornings. I don't like how early I have to go to bed, and something's amiss. I want you to give that person in this closing, before we ask people to tell people how to find you, what advice do you have for them to to get going, just to accept and move?
Yeah, man. And this is like the $1 million question. And I really always wish I could give people like, here's the one thing that you have to do. But there isn't. There isn't one thing that's going to like deliver this incredible result. It's really a combination of these few things. So I always offer this, and it's you have to first recognize that like you can do these things, that they're not out of your capacity, that healthy and fit should be the normal 40. Like that is within your God-given right as a human animal. That's where you're supposed to be. And once you recognize that, it opens up the idea that this is not some incredible mountain that takes this super heroic effort to climb, that you are capable of doing this. And once you accept that, well, then you can start to choose your entry point. Again, guys I work with, we usually start with the exercise and then we go to the nutrition. Maybe for you, it starts with nutrition, or maybe it starts with the movement, which we didn't even talk about, just going for walks. So I think it really is first accept that I don't care how busy, I don't care what you have going on. I promise there's a way for you to integrate these necessary pillars to over time see some radical transformation in how you feel and look.
I love it, man. One of the and it fits so perfectly in a normal 40. I love how you frame that, dude. It's a choice to be
Yeah.
healthy in your 40s, in your normal 40, whether that's 30. I tell people normal 40 isn't an age, it's a feeling. And it tends to happen when you have 40 years of life left. So if you're gonna live to 100,
Yeah.
you can be in your normal 40 and 60. And by the way, most of us, certainly a large percentage of us, maybe not most, are gonna have a good shot at getting to 100.
Yeah.
So if you're there, it is an option for you to be here more healthy.
Yep.
And the other thing you said, which is I've got this thing that I train called APA, accept, permit, act. And you just talk right through it. Accept that you're here, permit yourself to do something about it or not. It's yours. Take your pick, and then act. And I think that's super cool.
Well, I love the normal 40, man. Like that's what when I heard that, I thought, oh, this is my jam, because man, there's a lot of people. It ain't normal at 40 to be dragging ass, sitting on the couch. Like, man, you should have some, like, you got a lot of life to live. You should have energy. You should be out doing it. And like, it's crazy that you can meet, there's people who are 40 looking and feeling 25, and there's people who are 40 looking and feeling 80. And you get to steer which direction that goes through your actions, which is pretty cool.
I will show you a picture of me on my 40th birthday and me on my 50th birthday. My 50th birthday was 2 months ago. Most people would think that the images were reversed.
That's awesome.
I look and feel healthier at 50 than I did at 40. And I wasn't bad at 40. It's
Right.
just with a little bit of effort, it can be so much better. So much better.
Time travel, man. you figured it out. It's the closest thing.
It's the only option. It's the only option you got. So man, I love exercise. Do something small, do something you can fall in love with and keep it going. I love with diet, start with protein and just do something there again that you can love and keep doing. And it doesn't feel then like you're giving something up. And mindset, the future you, the power of seeing your future self and then putting a plan together to get there. I think it's a beautiful metric for just how simple it can be in theory to make life altering changes. But then at the end, you do have to do something. You have to take the action. So dude, how do people find you in case they want to get started on what's next?
Sure. So easiest place to connect with me is fitmanproject.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn and Facebook as well. But fitmanproject.com, I got some free resources there. There's free high protein recipes. I got a free training that will kind of break down more of like the science of some of this stuff. And then, obviously for anybody who wants to have a conversation, reach out. I'll be happy to connect with you. If through a conversation I can move you in the right direction, great. And if obviously, of course, if you need, deeper help, we can talk about what that looks like. And I tell that to anybody, like whether it's me or another coach, like get some help and support on this. It's so crazy to me how many guys continue to struggle in this arena when it's like, man, you might only be a phone call away from some real support, some real structure. I'm not going to use the word shortcuts, but some real guidance to really transform your life. And, I think dropping that ego and again, enrolling in some accountability and support is like the best thing you can do, because the impact of doing so will radiate into every aspect of your life.
Power of a tribe, man. It is real.
For sure.
It is real. All right, Luke. Well, thanks so much for being you, dude. Thanks for being here. Thanks for what you do. And thanks for being on the Normal 40 Highway, boss.
Yeah, man, this was fun. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll do it again. In the meantime, I'll see you on the next page.